Should be able to see the comet in just 1 second here. Okay, let me know if that looks better. Sorry about that. Okay, and if someone can confirm if they are able to see my screen now. I will have it running on. Oh, perfect. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the next live stream will go a lot smoother, I promise. Yeah, so there it is right now. It's still a bit bright outside. The sky is still a little bit blue. And can everyone hear me okay as well still? I'm just going to check and see how things are looking. I just got an ad over there. Okay, let's stretch that a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so now we can see some of the green in the comet. And I'm just going to adjust the white balance a little bit, make it look a little bit better here. Okay, let's increase the red a little bit. And the blue. Oh, it's too far. It's automatic. Okay. Actually, yeah, I think I can do a better job here of the white balance. So we'll just decrease the blue a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's looking much better. So we'll keep it at that. And we'll see the chat. Okay, perfect. So glad to hear it. Thank you, David. Thanks, Brian. Okay, so yeah, the comet right now, it's at about 27 degrees or so in altitude. I'm going to pull it up in Stellarium because I loaded it up in Stellarium to see how high it was going to be. So let's quickly pull it up. Right now it is at 26 degrees. And it's just above the Andromeda, or just below the Andromeda Galaxy. So actually you can fit the Andromeda Galaxy and the comet both in the same field of view right now if you have a fairly wide angle lens, actually up to about 150 millimeter lens. You can fit it in the same field of view. Now we'll see if we can actually see the tail of it in a little bit as the sky gets a little bit darker. And also I want you all to say hi to my my buddy Khaled over here.
Hello.
So he's joining me. He's assisting me with the live stream today. And right behind me on this side, you can see my ST80 refractor telescope. And on this side is the one that I had reviewed on my channel before. That is the SCAR FRA 300. But the scope we are using for the live stream right now, this is the Celestron C11 EdgeHD. And this is an 11-inch f2.2 astrograph. So let's see. So to get the tail, we'll have to decrease the sky brightness a little bit. We'll increase the exposures. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I haven't had a live stream in, I think, it feels like maybe almost a year or so. So we had a few hiccups in the beginning, but I do appreciate everyone joining. So it looks like we've got 8 people on there right now. Okay. Oh yeah, nice. David's saying hi.
That looks nice. Now you can see the green.
Yeah. So we can see the color of that fairly well now. We can see the color of the comet's coma. And let me see how things are looking on the live stream there. Quality, and yeah, if you don't have it switched over to 1080p, you can adjust the quality manually as well. So yeah, if your computer automatically lowered the quality because of the earlier technical issues we had, you can switch it over to 1080p now. So it should look a lot better. Now let's see if we can increase the exposure time a little bit more and bring out the coma. I'll leave the gain at 0, and instead of 4-second exposures, we will increase the exposure time to something like 15 seconds. Okay, anybody else doing some astrophotography these days? So I think there is a bit of a lag of maybe 5 seconds. Okay, let's stretch this a bit. So last night I was experimenting with my mono camera, and in black and white I was able to see the tail once the sky got a little bit darker. So I'm hoping that'll be the case tonight as well. Now the tail right now should be going towards the left. So if we look at Stellarium, the comet's going to be right over here. So yeah, the tail, okay, the tail should be aligned with the two bright stars. So yeah, aligned over here. So I think it should be going actually maybe up and to the right. We should be able to see the tail soon as it gets a little bit darker. And I'm actually going to just, yeah, I'll switch over to desktop only. So I think that should help with the quality a little bit. Okay, now let's see if we can stretch this a tiny bit more.
And you got a satellite.
Oh yeah, looks like a satellite went right through the middle over there. Let's zoom out. So soon we'll switch to some other targets as well. We're not just going to stay on the comet the whole time. The comet, as it gets darker, we'll get a glimpse of the tail, and then we'll be switching over to some other interesting targets as well. So let me just white balance things a little bit better here. So I'll switch the exposure time a little bit lower. Okay, exposure time. So let's temporarily switch the exposure time over to maybe 4 seconds. Auto stretch, and white balance we will set to automatic for a little bit here. So my light pollution is not so bad that the sky looks pink. That's just the white balance here needs to be adjusted. Okay, let's try 50, 50. Okay, we'll adjust those two values, and then we'll do an auto stretch. Okay, white balance. Now let's increase this one a tiny bit. We'll bring blue down to 48. Let's see if that looks better. Once it gets darker, it's much easier to white balance things, but when the sky is still a little bit light out, it's a bit harder. Okay, let's see this. Okay, we'll leave that one at 52 and decrease that. Okay. I guess 52 is too much. Okay, let's adjust some other stuff over here. We'll leave the exposure as is. We'll leave this one. Uh, 52. Okay, that's better. Okay, perfect. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, is the tail heading off to the left? You know what we could do? Let's see. So underneath there are these 3 stars, and then there's a little triangle over here. So we'll bring this one up, and we can actually simulate the field of view in this program. We'll bring up this one and this one. Okay, so that's the triangle over here, and these are the 2 stars right underneath. So this triangle is pointing towards those stars, and then the tail is aligned with those stars. So this is the triangle over here, and those are the two stars that it's pointing towards. So actually, you're right, the tail is going left. Yep, the tail is heading to the left, almost directly to the left in this view. Now let's make some adjustments here so that we can see it. We might actually be able to just physically see it shortly. Okay, there we go. I think that's looking pretty decent for. Yeah, it's too bad there's no option to just do a good auto white balance in this program. Okay, we'll darken this a little bit more and push this. I think so. On my side, I'm seeing a hint of a tail going towards the left, but we can do better than that, I think. You know what? Let me just bring up the big histogram. I forgot about that. And see if we can adjust things here. That's logarithmic. Okay, green is still a little. Can we adjust it here? Okay, no, we can't adjust it in the big histogram. We'll close that. But it is getting better. I can increase the exposure time again now, actually. Instead of 4 seconds, let's go up to something like 15 seconds now. And then we should have a better chance of being able to pull out the tail there. And then, does anyone have any requests for other targets as soon as the comet gets a bit too low? Okay, I'm just going to auto stretch this. Oh, still the green is a bit of a problem. Okay, what I'm going to do is set this to auto, set this to auto, and then do another auto stretch.
I can see the tail now.
Oh yeah, it looks like the tail is starting to become visible, so we'll
I can see it.
just manually do a stretch. And we'll decrease the green in the white balance to 50. Or that's the blue actually. 54, 54. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so it looks like the tail is starting to become visible. So just as soon as I've got the white balance looking a little bit better, we should be all good. Okay. So, okay, we'll decrease this a little. Let's see. So blue, 55, 54. Okay. So just 1 second, let's see. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge today has definitely been the white balance. Leave that there. I wonder if I can do a better job of white balancing in Nina. Yeah, now the sky is still fairly bright, so I think that's part of the challenge we're experiencing. Okay, where are we? Oh yeah, brightness. Maybe this is the general brightness if we lower that. Yeah, that's correct. So we're going to switch it. We're going to move it over a little bit. As soon as it's looking a little bit better over here, I'm going to move it over so we can get a better view of things. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do that right now. We'll just move it over right now. I'm going to decrease this down to maybe 1 second. We'll move it over and then we can worry about white balancing afterwards. Okay, So let's use, what are we connected with? Oh yeah, there we go. We'll use this one here. Set it to speed 2 and west. Okay. That's not what we're trying to do. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we'll move this over to a corner and we can see how much of the tail we'll be able to see. Okay, so I think that should be wide enough, and then we'll see if we can get a hint of the tail going towards the left. Okay, move this one down, make sure the tracking is still on in Nina. We'll have it set to sidereal rate. And let's do a quick stretch. It's red, we'll bring that one, no, bring the red down a little bit. And blue down a little bit. Okay, I'll bring that up. Does anyone have some experience with sharp cap and adjusting the white balance or setting it manually? I don't actually use sharp cap all that much, I have to say. I think we're pretty close in terms of white balance. 55, let's try that. Okay. Oh. Okay, now we will, yeah, let's increase the exposure now. We'll bring it back up to about 8 seconds and see if we can get a hint of that tail now. Okay, darken that. Okay, so we can, yeah, 8 seconds is looking pretty good. And I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now we'll just experiment a little bit with increasing a few things over here. Okay, let me think. You know what we can try? We can actually disconnect it over here, bring this back into Nina, and see if we can get a better view in Nina. The auto stretch and sharp cap is just not doing as good of a job as I would like. Okay, loop, and let's try that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it looks like Nina is doing a better job. So we'll do this in Nina. Actually, I think I see a hint of the tail. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, going leftwards, you can see a hint of the tail, I think. So yeah, since Nina is doing a better job, let's set the cooling, and we'll do everything in Nina for now. So I will open this one up, make it full screen. Okay, there we go. So auto stretch is good. So let's see, a little bit of a hint of a tail going towards the left, but I can actually increase the auto stretch further. So that's in under here, under imaging options, and auto stretch level, or it might be under general actually. Let's see. Imaging auto stretch factor. Okay, it might not be. Yeah, let's switch to this one, increase the exposure time to 30 seconds, and then try again. And we can actually move the comet a little bit more if needed, but I don't know if that's going to be helpful. Let's see where it is at. Okay, well, we almost have a 30-second exposure. Let's try that again. And let's see how many people we have. Okay, we've got 9 people on the stream. Okay, well, thank you all for your patience. I really appreciate it. And switch to this one here. Okay. Okay, so it looks like there is a, let's re-stretch this. Okay, we don't need the stars. Okay, so does anyone see a hint of the tail going towards the left over here? One other thing I could do actually to make the tail stand out a little bit more, I could take a quick, move this one out of the way. Yeah, you know what? That might actually let us see the tail better. Let's go over to this option over here. We'll just save the next exposure, and then we will download it and see how it looks. Download file. Okay. Okay, so that one's downloaded, and yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up in PixInsight actually and do a quick stretch over there as soon as that's downloaded. That's a good option. Okay, so I can see a hint of the tail going towards the left over here, so you were right. Okay, and so does anyone have any targets in mind that they want to take a look at today? The Andromeda Galaxy is right above, so we could take a quick look at that as well. Yeah, there are going to be a couple of targets in that region, and we've got a good color camera and a very, very fast telescope. So if anyone's got any suggestions of objects that we should go take a look at, just post it in the chat there, and I will slew the telescope over to that after we've looked at the comet. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Yep, yeah, I'm definitely seeing a tail going towards the left now. What do you all think? Does it, are you able to see it there? So this frame is almost downloaded. So I have my computer hooked up outside, really far away, so my signal strength all the way out there is not the best. So I just got an extender, which I'll be using for the next live stream. But for this one, we will have to do without the extender. Okay, there we go. So we've got the frame downloaded. So we're going to pull it up in PixInsight. And you should see that coming up on my screen in just 1 second. Let's debear this option, or let's debear this image. And then re-stretch it. Screen transfer function. We'll just do a quick stretch. And yeah, although I can see a hint of a tail, I think we could do a better job. So I'm just going to use Gradient Expert to quickly get rid of some of the background here. Oh, sorry about the ads. That should be out of the way here in a second. There we go. Okay. I tried to minimize ads in the stream, but still get a few occasionally. There we go. Okay, so Gradient Expert has gotten rid of that background. So going towards the left here now, you can see a hint of a tail. It's going a little left and a little bit up.
Yeah.
I'm going to re-stress that
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, but as it gets darker, we'll be able to see the tail better. Would bumping the gain up to 125 help? You know what? I think unity gain on this camera is gain 100. So let's bump it up to that. I like to decrease the gain sometimes so I can use a longer exposure because I'm already sky background limited, so the noise is not the issue here. But you know, why not? Let's bump it up to 125. And then, yeah, let's take another exposure with that setting. And I'll move this back down here where it was. And yeah, let's try that frame. The next one had gained 125 in 30 seconds. And let's see what altitude the comet is at now. We'll bring that back. It's down to 22 degrees, but since it is getting darker, that's fine. Okay, that image has been downloaded. Let's go over to that, bring it over to the computer. So that'll be downloaded shortly, and this image should also be a lot darker actually, because the sky has gotten darker. So we'll quickly grab it and drag it into PixInsight and then take a look at that. Let's zoom out a little bit and see. Yeah, that's pretty good. You can definitely see the tail now. Should be maybe another 30 seconds for that image to download. And while that's downloading, yeah, let's take a look at some other potential targets we can look at. We can look at the Andromeda Galaxy right above.
There's a red dwarf star near the Andromeda Galaxy.
Red dwarf near Andromeda. How far away are we talking?
Not too far.
Okay, the red dwarf. I think that might be a bit challenging. You know what? There are a couple of red dwarfs in the double cluster as well. So we could take a look at that too.
So this one is called either Groombridge 34 or GX Andromeda.
That's probably not going to be in our catalog.
Okay.
That's the one thing I don't like so much about. Or you know what? We could probably use Stellarium to go there.
And these are the coordinates.
Okay.
But if you can't find it, that's
yeah, you know what? Stellarium might be able to do the job. So let's take a look at just this one while the other one's downloading, so we can get a better hint of the tail now. But yeah, another 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. We can do a countdown like on the space shuttle. There we go. Okay, let's check this image out in PixInsight and see how that looks. We just have to quickly debear. It's too bad there's no auto debear option, but yeah, I guess that wouldn't make a lot of sense. This is the undebared file. This is the debared one. And quick Grexpert on that. It'll be maybe another 10 seconds. Oh, there we go. Okay, and now I think we can see a bit more of the tail going towards the left.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to see.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so yeah, now, yeah, since we've got a good view of the tail and the comet is starting to get lower, we can just Go over here, cancel this one. Let's get one single 60-second exposure. We'll do gain 100, and we will, yeah, everything else over here is looking good. We'll turn on auto guiding because I don't know the how accurate my polar alignment was there. Let's find a star, guide on that star, and yeah, let's take one 60-second shot. And then in the meantime, let's see what other target we can go to now. Let's go check out the Andromeda Galaxy. The Andromeda Galaxy should fit pretty well. Yeah, most of the galaxies should be able to fit within the field of view of the Hyperstar, because we are only at 560 millimeters. But at least we were able to get a hint of the tail of the comet. The tail is a lot fainter than the main nucleus there, so it's not quite as bright as it's going to get. I think around the eclipse in about a month it should be a lot brighter, and then a little bit after that as well I think it's going to get a bit brighter. So I'm hoping for an outburst to around magnitude 2 or 3, so it'll be a naked eye object, but we'll have to see how that goes. I can stretch this a little bit more. The way to do that in PixInsight, open up screen transfer function, hold down Control and click on the nuclear button, and then you can adjust this value to minus 1.5 yourself. And then when you do the auto stretch, that stretches it a bit more. So now you can get a bit more of a hint of the tail. Perhaps that's a little bit too much. We'll just undo that. Reset it to minus 2.8. Okay, yeah, that's a bit better. Now let's see how the image over here is doing. Do we have a 1 minute exposure? We do. Let's download that one. Oh no, it's not. It has not been downloaded yet. Oh no, there it is. Okay. So I have a feeling that one's gonna look a lot better. Okay, so some of the targets for tonight, if anybody else has suggestions. Oh yes, good, we got some suggestions. Andromeda, definitely, let's go to Andromeda. The Shark Nebula, that's interesting. Yeah, Shark Nebula. Okay, we'll take a look at that. I don't have a filter in the telescope, this is just unfiltered, but we might actually be able to see something on the Shark Nebula. We can always use a longer, maybe a 2 minute exposure. Okay. So Vesta, so that's the asteroid Vesta you're talking about, correct? Okay, if that's the one, yeah, we can go check that out as well. Good suggestions, I really appreciate it. We'll just download this one image here, take a look at it. Or you know what, in the meantime, let's go over to the other objects. Let's just go over to Andromeda. We'll see how that comet looks in a little bit. So Andromeda, we'll just go here. And okay, that is done. Close that. Yep, guiding has been stopped. So just for anyone curious, this is the most recent image of the comet. This is just uncalibrated and unstretched in PixInsight, but we'll take a look at that stretched image in a second. In the meantime, let's go over to Andromeda and take a look at that. We'll just slew right over because it's right above. And then we just, it's slewed over right now. We'll do a quick plate solve to center it. Okay, there we are, something on the screen. Okay, it's gonna center that automatically. And while it's doing that, let's take a look at this other image that we just downloaded of the comet. We will debear it. There we go. And as you can see, the stars in the corners are quite pinpoint. I spent a lot of time on this Hyperstar getting the stars pinpoint, so glad it paid off. So there we go. So you can see some hint of the tail even without any sort of gradient reduction, but I always like to just do a quick gradient reduction. just to get rid of the background and bring out some more details. And that should be applied here in just a second. Okay, that is the, oh no, that's not the correct image. I think I applied it on the wrong image. Let's close out of these 30-second images. Yeah, that was the wrong image. Okay, this one here is the 60-second image. I'll apply debayering to that. Yeah, it's easy to get messed up when you have a lot of images and you have a camera right in front of you, so you can't fully see everything that's going on the screen. Okay, this is our 60-second image, and we'll apply gradient removal to that. There we go. Let's see if we've got any comments there. Okay, Vesta is south of the Crab Nebula. Oh, great. Oh, north of the Crab Nebula. Perfect. Yes, let's go over to that. There we go. Okay, now I think we're getting a better hint of the tail going towards the left.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely the direction that we thought. Yeah. So I'll take some pictures of the comet at a later date this week, and then I'll post an actual stacked picture, and then I will also post a full tutorial on how to image comets like this. So be sure to be subscribed to my YouTube channel so you get a notification when that's posted. Now let's take a look at Andromeda. Oh yes, it has been centered. So let's get a good 30-second frame at gain 100. And we'll take a snapshot of that. We'll enable guiding as well, even though I don't think we need it for such a short exposure. Let's enable guiding anyway, always a good idea. Now the guiding did not look great on the previous target on the comet because it was so low. When you're at 22 degrees above the horizon from my area, you're just above the houses, so it's tough. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's Andromeda. And I think we may have to fine-tune the focus a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to disconnect this focuser and reconnect the actual focuser. There we go. Connect that. Yeah, we'll just do one quick autofocus before we go to all of those targets, and I hope it'll do a good job today. The last couple of nights, or at least yesterday, it was way too cold for the autofocuser, so I had to manually focus on everything, just because, yeah, the grease in the focuser just completely froze solid, so it wouldn't autofocus. So what we're looking at now, those little donuts that popped up on the screen, that's the central obstruction of the Schmidt-Cassegrain design of telescopes. So whenever a star is out of focus, you see that little donut in the middle of the out of focus star. So we're just going to let it autofocus, and if you look at the autofocus graph, you end up with a nice V curve at the end. So it's going to put a bunch of those points on there. Yeah, it definitely does allow for short exposures, but you do have to still use, sometimes you have to use fairly long exposures if there's a lot of light pollution there. So, but from a really dark site, you can be using, 5-second exposures and still see everything very well. But yeah, you're right. I also do fairly long exposures. I usually do 3-minute exposures by default. And I do have plate solving on. I always use plate solving. So, yep. Yeah, so in the meantime, while that is loading, let me just show you an image I had taken of Andromeda. So when you end up taking, I don't know, 20, 30 hours of exposures, you can end up getting something like this one over here. Should load in a second. This is a massive exposure, so there we go. So this was an exposure I had taken of Andromeda with, I can't remember how many hours, but it was probably like 25, 30 hours. And you can see all the red nebulae in the arms, all the dust, the 2 prominent dust lanes. And right over here, you can see, oh yeah, there we go. this little guy over here, actually I think this is the small image. Let me open up the big one. Yeah, this is the big image. So this star over here, that's CFIT variable V1. So that's the star that Edwin Hubble had imaged, and the star that allowed us to know the accurate distance to the Andromeda Galaxy, and therefore the size of our universe. So this is why we take a lot of exposures. But yeah, even in individual exposures, when you're live streaming, you can definitely get some detail, and you can see that central lane over here right now. So let's we were, oh yes, autofocusing. So the autofocus is done. Oh nope, not quite done yet. I think I ended up selecting too many autofocus points yesterday, trying to get it to focus with the really cold temperatures. But yeah, that should be done in a second, and then we don't have to do it again. That'll be a one-time thing. Okay, we've got 13 people on the stream now. Perfect. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate it. And yeah, this was our first live stream in a year maybe, so we ran into some issues, but I promise all the future ones will go smoothly from now on, now that we've got everything worked out, and we'll look at tons of amazing objects. I also just ordered a filter recently, and this is the IDAS NBZ2, the brand new filter that just came out. So I haven't seen any reviews of it out there, so I'll probably end up being one of the first people to review it. And this filter is specifically for fast optics like hyperstars, so we should be able to do some amazing live streaming with that one. This was not a cheap filter. I think I ended up paying about $500 for it, so one of my most expensive individual purchases, but it'll be worth it for our future live streams. We'll be able to see some really faint nebulae that we cannot see without a filter through all this light pollution. So the autofocus is almost done. We have one more point left, and then it brings the telescope back, or the focuser back, to this middle point over here, which is the sharpest point. So we'll see what that looks like. The focuser is going back to that point here in a second. Okay, we've got 15 people on there. I think this might be my busiest live stream, so I'm really happy about that. And Tarek has been very patient here, so we're gonna do some more observing and some more imaging after this live stream is done. But I want to keep the live stream going because you all put in the effort to come and join us. Okay, the focus did a pretty good job. Okay, so let's take a quick 30-second image here and see what that's going to look like, and then we'll go over to some of the other targets. And the sky is also starting to get quite a bit darker now, so everything should look a lot better. And a 30-second exposure on Andromeda I think should be quite good. I don't foresee any problems there. I'll close out of that. Okay, there we go. Okay, I will.
You can see the color in it too. So.
Yeah, I'll make this thing full screen so you can see it better. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we've got the dust lane going right through, and then we've got the little galaxy up here, and then the other fainter, larger one down here.
That's nice.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over to another target, something a bit more impressive than Andromeda. The thing with Andromeda is that it's a very large galaxy, and it's spread out over such a large area that it doesn't look as impressive. Well, yeah, the Antlia Duo band. Yeah, I had actually looked at the Antlia Duo band as well, and it was choosing between that and the IDAS. And the reason I went with the IDAS is that even though it's not as narrow as the Antlia Duo band f2, it also works on slower optics, like my ASCAR refractor over here, so I can use it on any scope. That's the reason I ended up going with that. But the Antlia Duo band is a great filter. Okay, so let's see here. Yep, the Fort Worth Astronomical Society had recommended for Vesta. So let's go over to that. So Vesta, as a lot of people on the stream will know, is a very large asteroid. I believe it's the second largest asteroid in our solar system here. And it is just north of the Crab Nebula there, so that's great. Let's head over to that. What I'm going to do is just move this one back out of the way. We'll put it back in its place. We'll just stop the guiding, and we will go over to the framing assistant, import the coordinate of Vesta, and then just slew over to it. And that should just take us very little time. Okay, framing assistant and slew. The telescope is slewing over to that now. And then we will just do a quick plate solve. So yeah, we'll check out a couple of targets and then I think we'll call it a night. We've still got 12 people on the stream, so thank you all for that. Okay, so now we are doing a plate solve, which is basically it's centering that target very accurately. Let me just make sure I didn't. Oh no, I think I did make a mistake. I used the wrong version of Stellarium. Vesta, there we go. Okay, I have now centered Vesta in the right version of Stellarium, and I'll disable plate solving here. I went to the wrong target. Okay, there we go. Now we can go to the right target. Yep, that's the comet. It's very low on the horizon, so it's not looking phenomenal. So the telescope is slewing to the correct target now, and we're just going to plate solve it quickly, and then we'll get a look at the asteroid Vesta. I don't think we're going to be able to see it moving against the background of stars in a very short amount of time. If we just took exposures for maybe 20 minutes or so, we would probably notice its progression against the background of stars, but we probably won't notice anything in a very short period. Oh, I think I didn't wait long enough before I hit plate solve. Let's try that again. Plate solve. There we go. Okay, let's plate solve it, and it should put Vesta right in the very center, so we should be able to identify it. Vesta right now is at a magnitude of 7.63, so it should be noticeable. I wonder if this little guy down here is Vesta. It seems, oh, it might be about the right brightness. And we'll also see where it is compared to the other stars. Oh, okay, so it's the fainter one. There are two bright stars in the field of view very nearby. So that's how we can identify Vesta. It'll make a little, almost like a little triangle with the other two bright stars. Okay, there we go. So there, I think that is, yeah, I think that's Vesta over here. So it's making a, so we got faint star, brighter star, and then this little L. Yep, the third brightest one in that field is Vesta. So 1, 2. I wonder if my plate solve wasn't perfectly accurate. Let's look at the positioning again. Okay, 1, 2, and then, yeah, down here is the third brightest thing. So 1, 2. I think this has got to be it.
Let's look at.
Yeah, let's look at the map over here. Make sure we have the correct thing selected. Yep. Okay, Vesta is selected over there. We'll go over to the framing option, and then we can actually take a look at the NASA Sky Survey. Make sure we are on the correct target. That should load here in a second. Just in case. Okay, load image. And while it's doing that, let's go back to the image. Oh yeah, yeah. There's always too many scopes. Okay, Vesta was blown apart 25 to 35 million years ago, and we know that because we have a lot of meteorites from it, and I have a bunch of different ones from there. Oh yes, awesome. Now I have somebody in the Royal Astronomical Society here in Edmonton by the name of Murray Paulson. He's a friend of mine, and he also has a lot of meteorites. Okay, so it should be fairly close to this little star over here. So I think in that case, yeah, I think this, yeah, Vesta. I do wonder if there's something wrong with my targeting system, because it's not centering things perfectly. Okay, we'll re-slew. Okay, yeah, Vesta is tough to tell apart from the background, so let's try that again. Okay, oh yeah, so we acquired coordinates from planetarium, slewed over to it, and then we'll do a plate solve now. Oh, enable DSS in Stellarium. Oh, okay. I mean, I can see it in Stellarium. The only thing was, yep, it looks like this is accurate to within 40 arc seconds. So, we'll go here. Okay, I think you might be right. I think that might be the issue. But yeah, so it is one of these little faint fuzzies here, but yeah, I cannot tell it apart right now. So let's try the next target. Okay, what was the next suggestion? Okay, let's go to the Crab Nebula, since that's really nearby as well. We'll see what it looks like in a fairly large scope. M1. Okay, maybe let's just do Crab Nebula. And I find objects like the Crab Nebula actually look more impressive than Andromeda, just because it's more concentrated and stands out a lot more from the background itself. Okay, there we go. The Crab Nebula should be here in the field of view in a second. There we go. Okay, we have the Crab Nebula. So you can see it as a little faint fuzzy there, but we're going to zoom into it and we're going to increase the exposure time. Okay, so while that's centering it, let's do 30 seconds at unity gain. It's close enough to the center. I don't need it exactly in the center. There we go. We'll enable guiding as well. Okay, let's zoom in to, let's do maybe 50%. Okay, so the Crab Nebula, as a lot of people know, these are the remains of a star that exploded in 1054 AD. So almost 1,000 years ago now, and the ancient Chinese astronomers of the time actually recorded the position of that star. And while we're doing that, we'll take another exposure in the background. And then now 1,000 years later, we looked at that area, and what we saw was this nebula. So you can see these red tendrils going all over the place as well. And then right in the very center of it, that's the Crab pulsar. And those are the remains of the core of that star, or basically that's the core of that ancient star that had exploded. And that core is about the size of a city, but it weighs about as much as our sun. So it's only about maybe 10 to 15 kilometers across. And it's spinning at about 30 times per second, so 30 hertz. And one of my goals is actually to image the pulsation of that pulsar in the center at some point. Probably won't happen today, but maybe with my big Dob, I will be able to do it. So that's one of my goals. Oh, Fort Worth Astronomical Society. Wow, 200 meteorites. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. My buddy Murray, he does the exact same thing. He brings it to all of our events, and everyone gets to hold them and see them, which is amazing. You know, one of the best things about this hobby is sharing with everybody else. So that's one of my favorite things because back in the day when I didn't have any telescopes or any equipment, I that was the only way I got to see anything was because other amazing people decided to share things with me. But now that I have all of my own equipment, I love sharing it with everybody else. So our 2-minute exposure of the Crab Nebula is almost done. So we'll just give that another few seconds. And then some of the other suggestions that we had, there was the Shark Nebula. So let's take a look at the Shark Nebula. Let's see where it is in Stellarium. Shark Nebula. Okay, it is in the north. Right over here. Okay, yeah, let's give it a try. I'm not too optimistic about the shark because it's fairly faint, but let's go over to it anyway. And then after the Shark Nebula, is there anything else here? You know what? The Heart and Soul Nebula are here, but they're very faint. But we could try out the Heart Nebula afterwards as well. Oh, you know what? One other thing that I just saw. There's the Bowtie Nebula. This is a tiny little guy. I don't know. Is there any bright planetary nebula nearby here that we can look at afterwards? Oh, since we're looking at the Shark Nebula, we can also go to the Iris Nebula afterwards. Okay, let's take a... Oh, there we go. So our...
That's pretty good.
Yeah, the Messier 1, the Crab Nebula is now ready. You can see these red tendrils all around. And then right in the very center, we can see the Crab Pulsar. So I'll let you take a look at that here for a second. And then I'm going to switch over to the Shark Nebula and then see if we have any luck with that. So actually I can stop the other exposure. Now let's go over to the Shark Nebula. Don't need that. Stop the guiding and see. Shark Nebula. I guess I'll have to use the one of the other catalog numbers. LBN6. Oh no, Shark Nebula is LDN1235. Okay. LDN1235. Maybe I have to get rid of the space. Nope, I'll have to pull it up in Stellarium. LDN 1235. 1235. Well, it went to the right object, so let's now transfer that over to this one. We'll just do offline sky chart. Make sure this stuff is all good. Yeah. Okay, slew over to that. So that's a little bit further away, so it takes a few seconds to slew. But yeah, I think it should be slewed. Let's play it solve now. Oh, is this still okay? Let's see what's going on here. That's off. This is off. Framing. Oh, okay. Why did it not slew LD in 1235? Okay. Try again. Okay, that's centered. Now we'll try to slew. Ah, there we go. Okay, it's working.
There's the Eskimo Nebula.
Oh, the Eskimo Nebula. You know, that's great. What part of the sky is that in right now?
Gemini.
Gemini, okay.
It's a bit farther away, but not too bad.
Still same side of the meridian, hopefully.
Ooh.
Or we can do a meridian flip if needed. That's fine. Okay, now let's see if we can see any hint of the Shark Nebula. I feel like I might need maybe a 60-second exposure to see it, but we can give it a shot. Okay. Okay, it's plate solving. Okay, this is looking good. Just making sure everything is in order here. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you joining us tonight. 2-minute exposure. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, thank you very much for dropping by, and yeah, good luck with work. Okay, so I think we are in the right area. So we'll just do a quick. We'll just do like a 60-second exposure. Let's see how far off we are. Yeah, we are pretty close enough. 2 arc minutes is not too bad at all. So I'll stop the plate solve. Quickly do. Let's do a 60-second exposure. We'll enable auto guiding. Okay, so after the Shark Nebula, we can try out the nearby, one of the nearby brighter ones, the Iris Nebula. And then, okay, near Gemini. Oh, we're near Cepheus. I think there might be some cool stuff here. No, those ones are going to be too faint for individual exposures. Okay, yeah, we can also actually go to the double cluster after this. And you said the Eskimo Nebula. Where is that?
That's it. Here. And Gemini. Where is it? That's near, just below Pollux.
Okay. Stars. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, so it's in the, yeah, that part of the sky here. So we'll just have to go.
Do you have to do a flip?
Not sure, but that's fine. We'll do a flip. Okay, so we're in the right part of the sky. However, yeah, it looks like this nebula is way too faint for us to be able to see. I don't think I can make it out, but the Iris Nebula nearby, that looks like it's bright enough. So we'll go to the Iris Nebula. Stop the guiding. Okay, Iris Nebula. I guess we have to use coordinates from Stellarium again. Okay, so that's just underneath. We'll go to framing and okay, we'll slow over to that. Yeah, it is a little bit further away again, so a little bit of a longer slew for that one. Thank you, Renee. So I think we can go until about 9 for the live stream. So I'll be here until 9. Okay, so we did the slewing. Now let's do a quick plate solve and see if we can, if it is centered or not. Okay, I think that's the main star in the iris there. So we're fairly close to the center. So in a 30-second exposure, we should be able to see it. Okay, and then after this one, we can go over to the double cluster since we're going to be fairly nearby. So let's do a 30-second exposure on this one and see what that looks like. So let's zoom in on this star in the center. I know this nebula has a very bright core. Yep, there's that star in the very center of it. So I'm not sure if that star was born from this nebula or if it's shooting material off, but it is a reflection nebula, so I think either that star in the center was born from the nebula, or it just happens to be passing through a dark cloud of gas. There we go. Let's see what that looks like now. Okay. So we can see some hint over here of nebulosity around that central star. But yeah, I think it might be... Yeah, the transparency is not quite good enough to see that nebula fully. So I will let that one go. Let's go over to the double cluster. NGC double cluster, NGC869. Okay, send that to framing assistant. 869. The other one's called NGC884. Yeah, I think we are close. Let's switch over to cache, see if there's anything in there. Nope. Yeah, we're close enough. We'll just go over to it manually. And turn off this exposure. Yeah, I've found some interesting supergiant stars in the double cluster, and I always enjoy looking at them visually as well. And even with large binoculars, you can actually see those stars fairly well. So if you do get a chance to take a look at the double cluster, give it a go. Okay, it's slewing over there now. It shows slew down here. Make sure this is off. Okay, settling and plate solve. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I think, is the double cluster too low, or are there, is there a building in the way? Let's see. Double cluster. Double cluster is at 48 degrees altitude, so that should not be a problem, but let's see. Oh, I think we're maybe at the iris. NGC869. Nope, I looked for the iris specifically, so I don't need that. NGC869. Oh, that one's very low. Let's see. 884. Oh, that was a galaxy I was looking at. Okay. Did I do it? Oh, I did 868. 869 is what I should have been searching for. Oh, big mistake. Good thing it wasn't below the horizon, or hopefully it wasn't. We'll find out if this thing is still working. Yeah, sometimes you're off by one number and the object is a million miles away on the other side of the Earth. So always have to double check what you're entering. If you're dyslexic, you will have a bad time entering NGC numbers. Very bad time. Like me. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, no wonder it wasn't pulling it up in the framing assistant. Now let's send this over to the framing assistant and we can center things a little bit better. Just file is fine. Okay. Close that. Okay, where are we now? Not file. Offline sky map is what I was trying to look for. There we go, double cluster. Okay, we will just drag this over right to the middle of the two clusters. Get a better framing. And slew to that. Okay, that's a good object for this kind of thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit more on that. Oh, it's just going to center that. Now you'll see a couple of those red supergiant stars that I was talking about earlier here in a second. I'll zoom in on them, and the color is very, very nice. So this is kind of what it looks like through a large telescope on a darker night. Okay, there we go. Let's just do some fairly short exposures. We'll just do 10 seconds.
Yeah, those red giants visually, they really stand out when you're
They
looking at
do.
them, right?
Yeah. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's the double cluster, and we'll pull this up so we can see it, full screen. Now these ones over here, so you can see the red color of it. So that's one, and that's another one over here. And then there are a few more just scattered around this entire field of view. Yeah, there's another one over there, and these are likely tens of thousands of times brighter than our sun, so very, very large stars. Okay, it looks like my battery's starting to run low as well on this, so and I think it's time for us to say goodnight. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Khaled here for assisting me today. So
Yeah.
we'll do some more live streams in the future as well. And we'll do a lot of other targets next time. As soon as my filter arrives, which should be in the next week or so, we'll be able to see a lot more of those faint nebulae without any trouble. So again, thank you all so much. And I hope to see you all at the next live stream. And the next one should go much, much smoother than this one. And we'll have a lot more fun. So thanks again. And yeah, send me any lists of targets anytime on my YouTube channel or on Facebook or Instagram. And I'll be sure to line those targets up for next time. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great night. Take care. So I will end the stream now.